What's up everybody, in this video I'm going to be showing you this OP Void Warlock build. This build is very overpowered once you start synergizing with everything. So right before we get this video started, if you want to hit that big red subscribe button down below, it'd be greatly appreciated, and enjoy. So for this build, it's obviously a Void build, so you're going to be using Void Walker. For the super, you're going to be running Nova Bomb Cataclysm because that is just the best Nova Bomb. You're going to be running Healing Rift because Healing Rift is just better than Empowering Rift, obviously. And then you're also going to be using Burst Glide, Pocket Singularity, obviously, and then Vortex Grenade because it's just the best grenade for PvE. For the aspects, we're going to be running Feed the Void because Devour is just very overpowering Void 3.0, so I just highly recommend it. We're also going to be running Chaos Accelerant because we're also going to be running the Controversial Holds, which is going to also boost this, so I recommend that. You can either run the Nezarec Sin, that's also a very good option. For the fragments, we're running Echo of Leeching just so when we get melee kills, it starts health regeneration. And that's also one of the ways we're going to be proccing the volatile rounds. So I definitely recommend Echo of Leeching. We're using Echo of Explosion because Void ability kills will cause the enemy to explode, which is just very good for your Pocket Singularity or your grenade. It just makes it even better. And then also we're going to be using Echo of Provision just because damaging targets with grenades grants melee energy. And that's just even better to proc our volatile rounds, so I definitely recommend this. And for the weapons, I'm going to be using the Witherhoard just because this is, in my opinion, one of the best weapons in the game because it is very good for adds and it's very good for DPS against boss, especially if you have another auto-loading holster rocket launcher. You can just keep on switching back and forth between these two and just do so much damage against bosses. I definitely recommend that. For the Void weapon, we're going to be running Funnel Web because the Funnel Web is just, in my opinion, one of the best PvE weapons in the game. It's just drops so much damage, and especially with the volatile rounds, it just absolutely shreds enemies. It's just so good. For the armor mods, we're going to be running Double Rocket Launcher Ammo Finder just because more heavy ammo the better. We're going to be using Melee Well Maker just because we want the wells from when we get melee kills to proc our volatile rounds. We're going to be using the Controversial Hold just so our charge grenades are even stronger. We're going to be using Overload just because I'm using a Funnel Web and that synergizes with the Overload. We're using bolstering. I'm also using bolstering detonation because when I damage enemies with my grenade, it'll give me back my rift, so it's just very overpowered. So it's just very good in my opinion. I'm also using volatile flow because that's where I get my volatile rounds, so it's just very good. For my chest piece, I'm rocking double rocket launcher. For my chest piece, I'm rocking double rocket launcher ammo reserves because and then for my ammo mods, I'm going to be using double rocket launcher ammo finder just because the more heavy the better. I'm also using melee well maker just because that's how I'm going to be getting my wells for the volatile rounds. I'm also using the controversial holds. I'm also using the controversial holds because that gives me my choice. So for the armor mods, I'm going to be rocking double rocket launcher ammo finder just because the more heavy the better. I'm also using melee well maker. I'm going to be getting elemental wells for my melee kills, so it's just very good. And more volatile rounds, the better. For my gloves, I'm going to be rocking the controversial holds just so my charging grenades are better. And I'm also using overload because I'm using SMG. I'm using bolstering detonation because when I damage people with my grenades, I'm going to get my rift back. And then I'm also using volatile flow because that's how I get my volatile rounds. And as you know, volatile rounds are just very overpowered. For the chest piece, I'm going to be rocking double rocket launcher reserves just because it gives me 9 rockets instead of 7. And then I'm also have volatile flow on this just because sometimes I like to use a Nezarec Sin instead of the controversial holds just because sometimes I like to use it instead. Just likes to change up the flow a little bit, you know what I mean? And then for the boots, I'm going to be rocking rocket launcher scavenger because rather than giving me 1 heavy per brick, it's going to give me 2. And then I'm using elemental ordnance because it's going to drop wells when I kill people with my grenades. And I'm going to be using my grenades a lot because it's just very overpowered with controversial holds and the charging. And for the bond, I like running devouring depths because devouring depths makes it so when you have devour proc, your super will do more damage. So when you're using cataclysm, it just does so much damage against boss. I'm using suppression mastery because the suppressing lasts longer and it weakens them, so it just makes you do a lot more damage against people when they're suppressed, which the vortex grenade does. And then I'm also using Font of Might because then it'll also give me a void weapon damage increase, which is just very good because then you also have volatile rounds, which is just, again, very overpowered. The thing that's very good about this build is if you look at the bottom left, you can see the volatile rounds. As long as you keep on proccing that, this build will just be very overpowered and it'll just absolutely destroy anything that comes in its path. It's just so good because the volatile rounds, as you can see, it does an area of effect while also doing extra damage and like poisoning them. So it just shreds enemies, especially using the funnel web or like the Le Monarch, for example. It is such a very good build. I definitely recommend using this build. So I forgot to say earlier in this build that you're going to want to be using elemental ordnance. That's going to make it so when you kill people with your grenade that it drops an elemental well, which then also procs your volatile rounds. So getting a melee kill or a grenade kill will proc the volatile rounds, which you're going to be getting a lot because your fragments synergize with that. Plus you're going to be probably going for a discipline build because you're going to be using the controversial holds. And you're also going to be charging up your grenades, so you're going to be getting kills every time you throw them. So you're just going to be proccing volatile rounds a lot, and it's going to be very good and very overpowered. You can obviously tweak this build to your liking. I definitely recommend you tweaking it and trying things out for yourself and seeing if you can find anything better, because I definitely know there's stuff better than what I've shown. But if you guys did like this video, please hit the big red subscribe button down below and drop a like. I'd greatly appreciate that, and enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.